Hello.
Hello. We're back.
We sure are.
Yes, next episode of A Conversation with Kely. We are here once again to discuss the latest episode of Survivor 44. I am here, of course, with my lovely and beautiful co-host, Aly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's my first day off this week, so I did a couple things, just some errands and stuff with my mom, and then other than that, just went for a walk with Magoo, and just kind of chilled today. After that.
Yes, we love having a nice personal day. I didn't do anything crazy myself. I worked and then I came home, took a nice nap, and that was kind of it. And then we watched this episode. But thankfully, for once in a long time, we're actually not alone for this episode. We do have a guest who we always love having him on. We know when he's on, he's going to bring a lot of interesting conversations. He's going to have a lot of insights, and probably going to end up taking over this podcast because of how much he chimes in, which we always love. Here is Devin.
Woo! Welcome back. Your first guest this season.
Yeah, his first guest in a long time. How you doing?
Well, I'm great. I was just letting you all talk, but I'm doing great. So I'm excited to do it.
Yes. So before we get into everything with this episode, Devin, just tell us, like, what have you been thinking about this season of Survivor so far? I feel like it's been a very polarizing season for a lot of people. So I want to hear your take on it.
Overall, I'll start with I think the pre-merge was a bit of a slog, honestly. But since the merge has happened, this season has picked up majorly as far as interesting boots, more compelling episodes. I feel like I'm actually going to know people now, so it's kind of been on an incline, which is better than being on a decline. So.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I will say I really liked the pre-merge a lot, mainly because of the cage and things like that. I thought that was really cool what they did. And I liked the little swap twist and things like that. I was really worried a couple episodes ago that this was just going to be oh, let's throw another major twist at everybody for the week. And that was just going to be the season. But I will say these last two episodes, I feel like we're on a very steady upward trajectory when it comes to this season. I really like what we've been getting. I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics, specifically in this episode that we hinted at, that I'm very interested in seeing how they're going to play out moving forward. Aly, what about you? What did you think?
Honestly, since the start, I did really enjoy the season. It's just very entertaining, and the cast are just all very likable and fun people to watch. But obviously the only issues really for me were just the boot order pre-merge, which was very sad and everything. But other than that, it was just a very entertaining and fun season. And so far it's been after these last couple episodes, I'm feeling the rest of the merge is going to be pretty good. Been really strong.
Me too. I think this is definitely a really interesting episode for sure, with how everything goes down. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We start off, we see Danny's very happy that this tribal went according to plan with the idol play on Franny and the elimination of Brandon. The game plan was to weaken Ratu, and now it's 3-3-3, which always, I think, makes for the most entertaining dynamics. And I will say,
so good.
I want to hear your take on this, but I feel like this is the first Survivor season in a while where it is fully tribal lines. That's what this season is all about, which I feel like we haven't seen in a long time.
It's honestly quite interesting.
Honestly, I agree. I think that the way that the last couple seasons have played out, the merges really became more of a individualized game, and then this season it seems very team based. Three teams, two are going out, one sitting in the middle. I think I know what the narrative this season's going to be. I think this is an underdog story for the Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson.
The Carl.
Carl.
I about said Carl.
The best player. Carl is just hiding in plain sight. No one can see him. He's just so good.
That's so funny.
Shout out to Carl.
Woo!
Carlton.
But yes, I will agree. Tika, I've said it a multitude of times. I feel like they are this season, and I become more and more I become more and more confident every episode that like it's gonna be one of them, or maybe even multiple of them at the finale. Because I feel like it's like been very heavily like it's been very much on their side this season.
Oh, definitely. Like I will say because of edits, I definitely see like a Carolyn for sure making it to the end. Maybe even Danny. I mean, I don't know. Danny's either leaving next or he's making it to the end.
Yeah, we'll talk about Danny in a little bit, but we see Lauren says, which I will say, Lauren gets a lot more content in this episode, which I was very happy about. We've been saying for a while, like, who is Lauren? What has she been doing? And thankfully, this episode, she actually had quite a bit going on. So she says that she kept telling people to split the votes and that no one really wanted to listen. And it's not a great feeling to lose one of their own and their numbers are dwindling. However, she still feels like she is in the majority, having Tika on her side. I feel like Lauren at this point, I've said it before, Jamie is like just like so like happy-go-lucky, but like so incredibly unaware of how naive that she is. I feel like Lauren is the opposite, where it's like she's a lot more strategic, still a bit naive, not really recognizing where Tika is, but she's definitely more level-headed than like the other people on her tribe.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, in her group, yeah.
I feel like a Lauren could be like an underdog going forward because like she's already proved to be good in a challenge, like winning that one immunity, but like I could see her being like an underdog.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting to see where she goes. Devin, how do you feel about Lauren? Because I feel like she's someone that like we saw so little of pre-merge, and now we're starting to see more of her here.
Okay, so actually, I would get the feeling I get is I feel like they're setting her up to be the end game. What would you call it? Like force in a sense. I think she. Do you remember last season? You remember the Lindsay? Was her name Lindsay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was. Yeah, like where she was really quiet the first half of the season, and then she was against what was the big guy's name? He ended up going out and fire making. They went back, and I feel like that's kind of Jonathan. Yeah, so I kind of feel like they're setting her up to be like the antithesis to somebody in the game who's probably going to be a bigger jury threat or something. I don't know. I feel like you never know with this era of Survivor because, like, obviously, like starting 41, like Erica had like the biggest like blank edit ever.
Yeah,
and then wins the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always that potential. But I feel like they're setting her up to have a very strong rivalry with someone, and I think that they're going to be like the in-game dynamic. Personally, that's where I see her going.
Yeah. I think that she at this point, like I've said it before, I think out of Ratu, she's gonna be the one that like stays the longest. I feel like she has had like the most content out of everybody, like where I feel like she's gonna stay the longest. But right now I see her probably either making finale or getting cut like right before finale. That's kind of where I see her right now.
I can see that. I can also see her getting like maybe a Kely Wentworth like placement.
Like a so quick. Like, okay, so are we going to talk about each individual player as we go? Or are we talking about row 2 as a whole too right now?
I'm just reading the notes of everything that happened in the episode, but we can do that like as well.
But you can literally just chime in and say whatever.
Oh yeah.
Well, only thing I say is like, okay, like I feel like Jamie is getting what I'm calling the reverse Heather edit, where she gets all of the content, but they just poop on her the entire time. Like every time.
No, literally, it's so funny.
That's
she's doing work, and she's got like a fake idol running around. She hands her fake idol off to the person who booted. Like it's literally like every time we see her,
she's always so confident about it. Like
it's so funny.
I'm reverse Heather for this season.
Yeah, I have never seen someone who has like such terrible reads on the game, but is like so happy of the game that she's playing than I have with Jamie. Like, she's so blissfully unaware. It's like there's something legitimately just like really wholesome and like fun about it. And I haven't seen an edit quite like that before, where it's like super obvious that it's like she's not doing well in this game. She has no idea what's actually going on, but she's trying her hardest, and we love her for that. So
oh yeah, it's so good.
Time, like I think like the reason I think she's the reverse Heather is because we never seen Heather, but everything Heather did post merge was with Erica, and therefore a correct move for her. But we never seen it. Here we are seeing everything this girl does, but it seems to just blow up in her face, and she's just like, like,
yeah, I think the only thing that she did correctly is that shot in the dark play first episode apparently was actually a good move, because I think Maddie said like in exit interviews that like she probably was gonna go if she didn't play that shot in the dark. So that's like the only thing Jamie has done correctly so far.
I will say though, like I still think if Maddie survived and Jamie left, then like Maddie and Brandon probably would have been like a duo.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I was trying to think if Maddie was the first boot the second boot, but like the first person voted out. Yeah. It was Maddie, right? Okay. I was just clarifying because like some of the early mergers, like I hate saying it like this, I feel like they a lot of them kind of got the same trajectory of like, I'm going to try to do something, but obviously I haven't been seen, since before this episode. So now you kind of know I'm the boot.
Yeah, definitely.
But
so
like,
Jam.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So Jam says the tribal went exactly as he expected it to. Ratu thinks he's working with them because he voted with them against Franny, but in reality, he knew all along Danny was going to play the idol to protect her. So for the first time in a while, this was a good night for him. He says that he's like James Bond, and he brings up that Josh, Matt, and Brandon all wrote his name out and were out one by one after the other. And if someone put his name down, they think they can't get away with it. It's not happening. We're starting to see a bit of a curse here where it's like you write Jam's name down, you get out of the game. I think that curse ends in this episode, but I love how he's like pushing this narrative. I just hope he doesn't push this narrative to his fellow tribe mates, because that could be really bad for him if he does.
Yeah.
So Kane says that he wasn't heartbroken or betrayed with Brandon leaving. He was woken up, and the idea is that there are idols back on the beach, so he's pulling his business pants on and going to work now. He mentions in D&D everybody plays on the same side against a common enemy, so the common enemy in Survivor is the big threat, and that Danny is growing into one since he made a big move, and he knows he's going to try to keep making big moves and keep his foot on the gas until somebody rips him out of the car. Two things on this real quick. One, it was super obvious that this was like Kane's downfall episode. Like very obvious to me, like Kane was going this episode. Just everything they showed was negative. Two, I do think that Danny is very much fucked after what he did last episode. This is not proving to be a very positive move for him. I think he had the right idea in playing the idol on Franny, but now it's kind of like exposed him. And I feel like Danny's not going to last much longer.
Yeah, at this point, I don't see Franny or Danny making it super far.
Yeah. We'll see.
Oh, we'll see.
So Jamie is hoping to find the idol because she has two and is happy that she still has her own, which someone want to tell her? Someone want to tell her what's going on?
Oh, wait, did you miss the Danny part?
Oh, okay. Danny says that he could have let Franny go and play a more defensive game, but this game is not won by a comfortable game, and he now feels uncomfortable not having his idol anymore, and he's starting to put a target on his back and is hoping to find another one. He's trying to be subtle, but at the end of the day, he doesn't really care because the shy part of looking for idols is over. I would argue that it's been over for a while in Survivor, unless you're Carolyn, who's been able to keep it up the entire season. Marianne hit it well too, but those are the only two players that have done it. So, everybody's taking part in searching for idols.
I went like real quick on the Carolyn thing. I want to make sure I got this right. When she found her idol, she kept the beads, but put the actual idol back. So have we ever talked about who has it technically?
Oh yeah, she has it. She has it.
Yeah.
He just see. I felt like she put one of them back in the cage.
No, she put a fake idol in the cage to trick them, so they didn't think that she had the idol. And then Sarah got the fake idol and thought it was the real idol. So
I don't know. All I know is like Carolyn is just my favesies.
Oh yeah.
She's amazing.
She is everything.
I just wanted to clarify that because like I don't feel like we ever like the show itself doesn't talk about Carolyn's idol off.
No, I agree with you, but I also feel like they're not doing that because they're heading for like a massive like a massive moment with her
right
towards the end of the season.
Probably. Or she just like pulls it out and pulls a Marianne.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm really seeing the comparisons to Marianne, especially like how much she's like underestimated and people aren't taking her seriously. And I'm waiting for her to make that like who's going to be her Omar, like when's that going to happen?
Oh yeah.
So I'm interested in seeing if that does play out. But everybody is taking part in searching for idols. And after searching for basically everyone's like kind of doing them together, but Danny is off on his own. He's doing it under the guise of gathering wood, but I feel like it was pretty obvious he was searching for idols. Nobody really seemed to be fooled by that. After searching for a bit, Heidi ends up.
Danny's just like, I have a target on my back. I need to find this idol.
Yeah. So after searching for a bit, Heidi actually finds a piece of paper containing the idol. And she's hoping that no one sees her because now others may come for her. And her plan is to not tell anyone, but this is a bucket list item for her. And she's extremely happy about it. How do we feel about Heidi finding this merge idol? Like, do we think it's going to go well for her?
I hope it does. Like, it's definitely because she's definitely had more of an edit the last few rounds, like last episodes. So this is definitely really good for her. And she's kind of the underdog in that sense too, where she's a little underestimated. So, like her and Lauren give me like underdog vibes for sure, and people are not going to expect her to have it. So I can see her just like kind of like a Carolyn. So I could see her just like doing another Marianne, or just like if she really needs it, just pull it out and shock everybody.
Yeah, I'm wondering when she's actually gonna if she's actually gonna be in a position where she needs to play it, because I mean, without getting into it, she's not in the greatest position, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, I think she definitely needed it.
Heidi, her edit I don't know how to read her because like even when she got the power to force someone to vote the way she wanted, right? Like we heard when she won it, we heard that she'd won it, blah, blah, blah. And we heard her talking to people about what she should do with it. But ultimately, I don't feel like what she chose to do ended up having much effect on the game. And also, we didn't get an explanation to why that was how she chose to make it happen, really, in my opinion.
No, we didn't.
Not like a...
For sure.
We get like... And I feel like, honestly, in my opinion, I think that she botched that round. I don't think that... I think that the bigger or better move is to try to force at least the tie so that maybe one of them stays, or at least you flush other powers. And I feel like her move was extremely safe, which makes me feel like there's a chance that this idol, if this continues to be the trajectory she has, she might be the person who goes home with the idol in her pocket.
I can see that too, actually.
He's played like back to like whenever it shows is it Danny? Like when he's like saying like this isn't the time to make safe moves and stuff, it kind of makes me think that either he's going to end up making a safe move and getting removed, or somebody else is going to make a bit like a home, because I don't know. I try to read into the edit, but that's how I watch the show, because I see it as a big whodunit, like who outsmarted everyone else. And I'm not getting like the best. Like it won't shock me if she ends up being one of the next two boots on a like random plurality where she goes home with the idol in her pocket or something. I don't know.
I'm not
She's
sure.
just such a, because she was kind of invisible throughout most of the pre-merge. But then
she literally wasn't
but now
like,
she's
on the show much.
Right, but now she's there and she's doing stuff. It's just, I'm starting to wonder, like, we constantly hear about like Jam Jam and how her stuff affects him and Carolyn and all these other people. We're hearing from them about the things that she's doing,
right?
Or did.
How does it affect her?
And that concerns me with where she ends up. It's not the best. You want, like, from an audience perspective, it kind of tells you stuff when you're actually hearing what they're trying to do, which we kind of hear mainly from Jam Jam and Carolyn, which is why I have more confidence in them as being game players.
Yeah, I felt like last week was a really good episode for Heidi, but especially with like Danny now being targeted and things like that, I don't know where she's going at this point. I don't know if she's getting super far. I feel like she's I feel like she's in a position where like she's like about to get blindsided, but I'm really not sure what's going to happen with Heidi, because I feel like she had this really great idea of like, let's try to stick together, the Tikas and like the Sokas, and we'll go after like the Ratus together. But Tika's in a position where like they can kind of just do whatever, and I don't know if it's going to quite work out in the way that she hoped. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. But yeah, she definitely is probably going to be one of the next few out. I hope she doesn't get blindsided with an idol in her pocket, but it would be good to watch, but fun to watch, but it would also be sad.
Yeah, so we get this really great moment that I really wish we get to see more of in Survivor. We see everyone's enjoying their off day. They're just playing games. We see a moment where Jam Jam's like, he says he's tired of the constant talk. That was funny. He's always having to save himself and things like that. And Carolyn loves the fact that they have time to play around with each other, that they aren't playing it up and just got real. And we are reminded why we love Carolyn so much. We get this moment with her where she just finally takes the time to like open up about her addiction and her celebrating her 13th anniversary, being sober. We find out this is, she talks about how it's hard for people to understand that people who come from childhoods can easily get addicted. She says that she's like a very open book with her addiction. And she talks about how many mistakes that she made when it came to drinking, and even met her fiance through an AA meeting. And her life has been an upward swing since. And she never thought that she'd have a family and a wonderful son. And every day she decorated her house for Halloween, and it's creepy, but it's everything she needs. And she's very grateful that her son is never have to see either of them addicted, and we'll see the recovery side of things, and both of them are no longer struggling. And she talks to them as well about being the weird kid before. And look, I have said a lot recently about how I am not a fan of like a lot of the sob stories. The edit feels very jarring to me when it like cuts to it. This is how I want them to do it. Like, I like this a lot. It's like we're getting more insight on Carolyn, but it's also a really great bonding experience for the tribe. So it doesn't have to be this like moment that like halts momentum and we see this like, weird slideshow of sorts. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. I feel like this is the way to go about it if you want to give me more insight on who these people are. You don't have to do these like, long drawn out, like 5 to 6 minute, like, violins playing in the background slideshow. I feel like the way to do it is what they did with Carolyn here. Give her this moment where she opens up to the tribe about something really personal, but then also make it this great moment for her about kind of seeing like where she's at in the game and things like that. I thought this was just really great overall, the way they did it.
It definitely gave like winner edit vibes for sure.
Oh yeah, especially the moment we were you gonna say something, Devin?
Go ahead, but yeah, I do have like 2 things to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll let Kevin finish his thought.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, we get this moment where Franny loves how authentically herself she is because she wants to be the same way, being okay with herself, and feels that she can learn a lot from her. Carolyn talks about how every day she feels like she's getting her footing more after everyone told her they didn't know if they could work with her. And this to me felt like this is like major winner edit vibes at this point. Like, if you want to talk about an obvious winner edit, look no further than this, where she talks about how people aren't expecting anything. They think she's confused. that she's had to work past her insecurity and isn't caring as much about how other people are looking at her. But she also wants people to not think she knows what she's doing and that she'd rather be having fun than actually strategizing, but she's here to play and she's not really holding anything back because she promised her son that she wouldn't. And yeah, all around, thought this was an amazing moment for her. I love getting to see this arc of her, people kind of seeing her just, she's kind of fun. She's just here to kind of joke around. But in reality, she's super strategic and people are not seeing that. And I feel like that's really going to be like her arc in this game. And it's what's, I think, is going to get her all the way to an impossible win.
I will say also, I've noticed that like most people on Twitter always like disagree. Carolyn's like the one person that everyone like agrees on.
Universally, yeah, which is great. Okay, so, what were you gonna say, Devin?
On Carolyn, like I know, like I want to bring up, I'm sure we talked about it, but like very beginning of this season, like premiere, we get that weird beginning end where it's a confessional with Carolyn, and I immediately I either said this is either the winner of this season or the first boot. I don't know which, and obviously she wasn't first boot, so.
Thank God.
That was like check one. Like she's done something completely. They've never done this with any other person where they just open up with them having like the most goofy confessional ever. But what kind
and
of
that set the tone for her arc in this game like perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then second, I don't know if it was this episode or last episode. They like to this was an old school thing they used to do with winners. I know they did it with Bob back in Gabon. They did it with Earl in Fiji. They did it with Boston Rob in Redemption Island, where they end up getting a confessional while they're doing something, and they end up on the top of like a high rock or a mountain. And in hers, she's standing on top of this rock in the ocean, and Jam Jam's like sitting like right below her. And she's having like this big moment on the show where she's talking in her confessional about how like important it is that everything is to her.
Yeah.
And to me, that was kind of like the seal of approval. Like, I feel very comfortable in saying that if, in my opinion, I think she's the winner of the season because they don't give that to losers. A loser does not get that. So if she does lose, she's the first loser that I can think of to get that moment. And I think that it might be a little bit of foreshadowing because it makes me think that maybe Jam Jam's the runner-up, where he's sitting a little bit on the thing, and he's like, I don't know. I think that we're in. If Carolyn wins, I think we're in store for like this. She's definitely going to be a new type of winner, and I think that she's honestly stepping into the like a Gabler, in the sense that I think that they won their season. If she wins, they're going to win their seasons more on the fact of how they are as they absorb the game into as a part of their life type thing. Like, which isn't a terrible way for like, honestly, like those types of winners tend to be more endearing. I know a lot of people didn't like Gabler's win, but ultimately, like by the time he won,
but I like the Carolyn's. I was not a Gabler fan, but I love Carolyn.
I wasn't either.
Right. Well, but by the time Gabler, I mean, remember the last time I was on here, we talked about Gabler, and by the time he won, and then he gave up his $1 million to charity and stuff, I kind of feel like that's setting a bar for not just like what kind of game they play to win the game, but like what is this going to do for them and then also the world, which honestly in a way kind of makes the game it could be like it's a back and forth, and I really hope that if she does end up being the winner that we do get that very like not necessarily that she has to give away her money to charity or anything, but like that we get that wholesome feeling of so glad she's the one who got the money there. And kind of more understanding and sympathetic type winner, kind of like anybody can win type vibes, which is what the show used to be. So
Yeah, Carolyn, I think is just one of the most endearing characters we've had in a Survivor season in a while. She's someone that like you're just again, this is why she reminds me of Marianne. You're drawn to her like immediately. She has that like very high spirits. She's always positive. She's always, laughing and is excited, but she also has this like very like strategic side of her that people just aren't seeing. And I think that is what is going to hopefully get her the win at the end. So
like literally she literally had like Josh. She had Josh like not want to vote for her and like stuff like that, and which is a big move. And and she's just like very like passionate and very real.
Yeah, there's already so many moves to her name that people don't even realize, and I'm waiting to see like what that, because I feel like a big swing is coming with her. I'm just wondering when it's going to happen. So we will have to see. So Carson gets this moment where basically he says that this morning he woke up. Thankfully, he feels a lot better than he was yesterday, but he also feels a lot more tired. He says that it's been a roller coaster and his energy levels have been super low. He says he hasn't eaten in days and has nothing in his body. They all decided to cook unripe papaya in an effort to fill their starvation. And this scene makes me not want to go on Survivor because I like to eat and I don't want to eat ripe food. But it
would definitely be really fun, like the experience and everything. But it would be hard because like you don't really get a lot of food to eat.
Definitely. But that's everything before the immunity challenge. Let's talk about this immunity challenge because I feel like this was a very interesting turn of events, the way this played out.
Oh, right. So for the next immunity challenge, they're going to stand on a small block while balancing a ball on an overhanging piece of wood. If at any point their ball drops or they fall off the block, they're out.
This is a very quick challenge.
It was. It wasn't like anything like too crazy. They just had to like balance a ball.
Yeah, like I thought some of them would.
And then they obviously had to like keep one foot on top of the other.
Yeah, a lot of people dropped like very early. Like it went very quick.
I know. This morning they got the tree mail telling them they have the opportunity to sit out of this challenge and give up their shot at the immunity in exchange for rice for the tribe. Heidi tells Jeff they have discussed it and she would love to hear now, due to the conditions and everything, to see if anyone has changed their mind. Lauren says she'll sit out if anybody else wants to. Carson then says he'll sit out, probably because like his low energy and he's super hungry, which makes sense. I feel bad for Carson.
I really did too, yeah.
Just want to hug him.
But he's still like playing his heart out, which is like, it's testament to like how good of a game player he is.
Yeah. He has like a really good heart.
Oh yeah.
And then Kane says it's all about balance and of reliance and competition, and he would be more willing to step forward if the vote last round had gone how he thought it would have. Danny, Carson, and Carolyn say they won't vote for the sit-outs. And then Kane then decides to sit out, and then Heidi decides to be the last one to sit out, which was like basically she just like ended up just taking one for the team.
Yeah, this was
I know because Jamie was like very hesitant.
Yeah, this is very interesting to me because it very much felt like, we've had this gone on for like a few seasons now. They kind of knew that it was coming. So like they were definitely like strategizing it before. They were thinking about what to do here. But I thought it was interesting how much I feel like this actually played into what ended up happening at the tribal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So obviously it just came down to the other 5 that competed. And it comes down to a showdown because like the other 3 dropped pretty quickly. So it comes down to a showdown between Franny and Danny, which was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
It was very intense to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, both of them were like wobbly, but like recovering. So it was it was like anybody's game.
Yeah.
And then ultimately Franny becomes victorious and wins immunity again.
Yeah.
Which like good for her.
Yeah. I mean, I was not expecting Franny
especially with her getting votes last round, but getting saved with the idol.
Yeah, definitely. Devin, what are your thoughts on Franny as a player so far?
I would say right now Franny is my second favorite player within the game. Not necessarily because I think she's got like amazing moments, because she's not. Yeah. I don't feel like we've seen a lot from her on a strategic level. However, I do think that from a viewer level, I have more I just think that she's proven that she deserves to be there. I think that she's somebody who I'm gonna assume she doesn't go to the end of this season, but I think she's somebody who they would definitely call for a return because she's proven twice, I think now, that she can go against some of these more athletic, like stereotypical, like challenge beast type players and beat them, like, and outright beat them. And I think that she's somebody who I'm getting fifth place vibes from Franny. I think she's going to come up just short of. Well, I think that she's somebody who might win the next, like, at least one of the next two, and then probably go out right before as like the kind of like a penultimate boot of like, oh, if we don't take her out now, she's going to win her right to the end type idea. But I really enjoy her presence on the show in the sense that I don't think that, similar to Carolyn, I think that the person that we do see when we see her is authentic. I don't think we're getting a character of who she is. She's just a nerdy person who did not realize how good they were going to be at comps, who loves Survivor and is, doing what she needs to do in order to progress in the game. So, I mean, obviously she had her line with Matt. Was it Matt?
Yeah.
Am I right? Right on the name. Okay, like some of these names are bleeding together, but like, I knew, like, a lot of people were like, Matt's gonna outlast Franny. That's the story. I don't think that is not the storyline I'm seeing.
No, I never for a second thought that was the case. I always thought Franny was like the stronger player.
He's either the first into the, and she's gonna have to, like, I mean, I've seen this storyline of her kind of like doing it for them because it was just setting her up as the stronger player out of the two.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I do enjoy Franny. I want to say on this challenge, though, I am sick and tired of seeing them put their hands on a ball or stand with their head on a block. Or stand with their arm in the air with water. And we like get like some like puzzles or, I mean, some sort of athletic type. I mean, swimming. I mean, you're right there next to the. Like, I just wish they would kind of switch up because this mid-season is becoming super predictable. It's going to be who can stand on a log the longest, then who can on a pole the longest.
It's been a lot of that for like this half of the game in like recent
seasons. I really need the challenges. Because like obviously the reason we get repeat winners is because these challenges are literally like the same thing back to back to back. It's, in my opinion, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Both of us literally thought Franny was going to be one of the first boots at first.
Yeah, no, we didn't think much of her preseason at all.
But she like really as soon as well.
She was like I said, Carolyn was the first and she was the second that stuck out to me. And the other one that actually stuck out to me early on was Carson. And then honestly, Jamie is becoming one of my favorites because of how often she gets pooped on. And they're just like, and I want to like Jam Jam. I want to, and I do in a degree, but I'm not as big of a Jam Jam stan as I think other people are, simply because I'm kind of getting like, I feel like he keeps repeating his storyline, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He does.
He gets arrogant. He gets knocked down a peg. He almost goes home. He builds himself up. He gets arrogant. And then it just repeats. And it's just every 4 episodes. He's like on one trajectories. And I'm just like, if he would do something different, then maybe I could like back him up more. But I'm a little bit just kind of like, I know what to expect from Jam.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's fun to watch, but yeah, it's like very, especially the past like couple weeks.
Like, I love Jam Jam, but he's very repetitive.
Yeah, he can be.
It says recording error on my side. Is it good on your all's?
Yeah, it's still live.
Okay, it's just mine. I don't know. Okay.
No, it just says your device is out of storage space and that your recording has stopped because we all get an individual recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. He's probably going to come back.
Okay.
He's probably just fixing his connection or something.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you still have to read the next thing.
All right. Franny never thought she'd come out there and do so well in challenges. When she first landed on the beach on day 1, she looked around and thought she was the weakest woman there. To now go up against some of the biggest guys in the game and crush them feels good to her, which was like a really nice moment for her.
Yeah.
Everyone indulges in the rice they have been able to receive, and they are all very happy to finally take part in eating it, because especially like Carson, because like Carson was like feeling
he was like scarfing it down.
Yeah, so I'm just glad they all got something to eat. Kane didn't think he was gonna win that challenge, so it made sense to step out. Danny has doubtfully given him a scout's honor. He won't be voting for anyone who sat out, but he is very doubtful of that, especially having blindsided his plan last tribal.
Once again, just a really negative moment from Kane. Like, nothing in this episode to me came across as like, oh, Kane is going to survive this vote. Like, I felt like this was just like one of the most obvious, like, he is going edits I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Like, there was like nothing positive about his edit at all.
Yeah. I also just messaged Devin.
Okay.
So he should be back. Hopefully he's back soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jam Jam says eating rice woke him up and he's ready to play, but that's the danger because it did that for everyone. Honestly, with the war brewing between Ratu and Sokka, himself, Carolyn, and Carson are dead set in the middle, which is like very good for them.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I've said it before. I
feel like a moment happened later on with somebody.
Yeah. We'll see if that goes anywhere.
We'll see. Danny asks Carolyn and Carson who they want to go for tonight, and Carson says he doesn't really care because they have majority either way.
Yeah, which I mean, they're in a great spot.
Yeah. Heidi is happy to see Tico is working with Ratu, especially after having just targeted Brandon, so she feels there is a much bigger chance of Tico. Carson asks who's the biggest threat of the 3, and Heidi throws out Kane, thinking he is more strategic than either of the girls. He's a smart guy and a big guy, so he can do challenges very well, so it's a good idea to send him home. And she doesn't plan to play her idol, but she's bringing it because she's ready for anything.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think it's good that Heidi is, again, in this position, but she does call the shots, like, immediately here. She's like, no, Kane's got to go. I just didn't feel like her logic made a lot of sense. Like I said, I thought last episode was very positive for Heidi, but, like, this did not make sense. Like, oh, Kane is like really strategic. He's in this great position. Like, since when? He literally was a potential name to go out like the previous round. There's been nobody that's really like tried to keep Kane around. We haven't really seen him do much of anything in this game except for like, bond with Carson. Like, there was a potential duo with like him and Brandon, and now Brandon's gone. Like, I just didn't understand how Kane was a bigger threat than like a Jamie who supposedly has an idol, even though she doesn't. And Lauren who literally has an extra vote. Like, I felt like Kane was like the least, the least of their worries.
Oh yeah. It's like really like over like Kane over somebody else.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to
me. Danny says their next missions should be to get Jamie to flush her idol. Carson says since Tika is in the middle of the three of them are the deciding votes tonight, and they just have to decide who to work with. But regardless, they want to flush Jamie's idol, which is fake anyway.
Yeah.
Jamie goes to them.
It's so funny. Like, every time they mention the idol, I want to be like, it's fake. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's so funny. Jamie goes to them and asks if they're voting for her, and Carson says no, but Sokka is. And they just need to. Yay.
I think I'm back.
Yes, you are back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It was like, it kept telling me, no, you're not allowed to come back. And I had to completely like go my settings and like I was like, why is it saying no? Like, it was like very intrusive on me. It was like, no. with an
StreamYard can be
StreamYard just
very
didn't
glitchy
want you to
sometimes.
come back.
It's just very glitchy sometimes.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't know where you're all at.
We're talking about right now we're talking about
basically just the notes that are like after the immunity challenge.
Yeah, we're right now on the moment where I think we just talked about wanting to flush Jamie's idol and things like that.
Yeah.
I do want to get your insight on one thing. Heidi's plan to target Kane is probably not the right move, right? Like I did not think this made any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have mixed feelings on the move. I think it's not the best move, but it's not the worst.
Yeah.
The thing about, because Kane, honestly, we haven't spoken about him really at all this entire time we've been on, but Kane was giving like, how do I put it? Like, I know it didn't really show it, but I would guess if we were there on the island, he was getting big move-itis.
Yeah.
Based on that the person that he comes across as. So maybe if that was happening, it would not shock me because, like, obviously in Big Brother, it's pretty easy to say who's the big move. In Survivor, you can pretty much make the big move whoever you want based on the information that you try to portray. So with him trying to like probably target Danny, I'm gonna guess, or whoever ultimately, like, if you're someone and you think that you're in the top 3 for winning the game, having somebody like that around is not in your interest, because if they take out the bigger person ahead of you and you think you're next on their hit, at that point they become the more dangerous player, because if they get what they want, they can actually start picking off like those better players, for lack of a better term. So it's hit or miss. I just don't know if he had the capital to actually do that, like the social capital.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the way they have portrayed Kane this season, it has not been a very positive edit. He seemed like, especially the moment where he was like, oh, Rachu is in such a great position. Nothing bad's going to happen to us. And then it's been like pretty much a Paganing since then.
Pretty much.
I just feel like he has not. It's literally after. I mean, it's him, Lauren, and Jamie. So
yeah, I don't know why, but I don't think Jamie or Lauren are going next round.
Yeah, we'll see.
My prediction is if he doesn't win immunity, Danny is cooked.
Yeah. We'll talk about Danny, who I don't think is in a great position after this week at all.
No, he went from like the best position on Sokka to just like now it's just like one of the worst.
Yeah. But this talk of the vote gets actually.
I mean, it is true. He's like, Danny just gives like that like leader type. He's just like very like strategic, and he's always like playing hard.
Yeah, he is. But this vote actually gets kind of messy with this next conversation that Jamie has with them.
I know. Jamie goes to them and asks if they're voting for her, and Carson says no, but Sokka is, and they just need to circumvent that. And Jamie says they need to break up Sokka because they are going to take it to the end, having all shown they are physical threats, and they need to split it between Danny and Heidi.
Yeah, so you have Tika literally being approached by everybody at this point, being like, vote this way, vote this way, vote this way. I thought it was crazy the way that was going, because like I thought for sure it was like, okay, this is going to be a straightforward vote for Kane, but it's definitely not a straightforward vote.
It's so crazy. This episode is so good.
Yeah.
Lauren is very happy.
Honestly, the best move for the majority of these people, and in a way I'm glad they didn't do it, but if these people were actually looking and not like under like what I call like tunnel vision, where they basically just have, what is it, like Sokka and then Rota, or what is it?
Rotu.
Rotu. Like, they have tunnel vision at each other. If you're really looking like from a strategic standpoint, like the best move currently is probably to get rid of Jam Jam because Jam Jam, even though I think he's actually the least strategic on the Tika side, he's the one actually talking the most. It seems like I feel like every see him. Like the other two are talking, but Jam Jam's talking to anybody who will talk to him. And to me, probably the most dangerous person in the game, because any information that he thinks is valuable to take him farther, he's going to leak. And if you have tunnel vision, Jam Jam's actually probably the correct vote for the majority of these people, just to get that number off of Tika and then also continue to let them play the middle moving forward.
I definitely think Jam Jam's probably the first to leave in that trio.
Oh yeah. I think so too.
But yeah, I don't know if the Kane vote overall was the best move for the majority of people, but obviously for somebody it's going to work out.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Oh yeah, but we do stand the women of that tribe are still in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren is very happy Danny didn't win immunity because she wants him out of this game. With him getting Brandon out and showing he's a strong physical player, he needs to go. And however, she is concerned he may have found another idol. And the lesson learned from the last is that they should have split the votes.
Yeah, I mean that definitely is what they should have done to ensure
I know.
that somebody on that side won, and they didn't.
Oh yeah. Kane comes by and Carson tells him
that lack of split came from Brandon. So like,
yeah.
Like you get your comeuppance. Like I pretty much like got an idea. If I was to ever play Survivor, my thought is, if I start to think somebody's down and out, you change your target. You change your target because you never know who's gonna get some stupid power or an idol or like, I feel like he did that to himself. So I mean, she's in the right. Like,
he was so Survivor confident last week. It was like obvious it was not going to work out for him.
I know. I love Brandon though. Like he was just very nice overall.
Yeah, he was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I found him kind of annoying personally. I was kind of like,
I feel like after like the first episode, he wasn't really shown all that much.
Right. I will be honest. First episode left this weird taste in my mouth about him. I was like, tastes bitter.
I definitely think though, if Maddie survived, they probably would have became like a duo. Which would have been interesting.
I mean,
definitely could have happened. The potential.
Yeah. I know, that would have been iconic.
It would have been.
We do lose a lot of women early nowadays.
I know.
That's like a common trait.
Kane comes by and Carson tells him they are trying to split the votes. Kane, Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson will vote for Danny, while Jamie and Lauren will vote for Heidi.
Yeah, I mean this was a mess. Like,
it was insane.
There's so many like split vote plans, like all over the place.
Well, this is the thing. Votes. You only split votes. Did somebody had a double vote, right?
Yeah, Lauren.
Did.
Like, here's the thing about like splitting votes with this weird number of people.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what happens when you split the votes. I guess you get disconnected.
Yeah.
But anyway. Let's keep going.
Okay. He'll probably be back shortly.
Yeah, he's just having some connection issues.
Yeah. Jamie is very fearful her name is out there, and while she has tried to suppress any mention of her idol, everyone seems to know everything at this point. Lauren then tells Carson she'll be giving her extra vote to Jamie just in case Danny has knowledge is power or something.
Which is a really dumb fucking move, I will say. Like, I don't know why she felt she needed to play it this round.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, her name wasn't even out there.
Yeah, it was like interesting.
Like, obviously, yeah, you want to protect Jamie and Carson, or Jamie and like Kane, but like at a certain point, the numbers are going to dwindle. It's going to be you or one other person. So I feel like she should have just like held on to it.
Yeah, I agree.
So to me, this was like a bad misplay for her.
Yeah, it was just not the best move at all.
Yeah. But then again, we've had a lot of misplays this season.
All right. Kane is confident Tika is with them, but people are scared of Yolantha's power. So in the event it happens, Jamie will be giving him her idol, which would then become his own if she leaves. He is hoping this is the debut of him as a strategist because he has not voted someone off this island yet, and if he wants to win, he's got to start voting people out and voting correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely trying. He's definitely trying, but like I felt it was pretty obvious. So like Kane's days were numbered at this point. Oh my God, we have Devin back.
Woo!
Okay, so what were you trying to say before about split votes?
Oh yeah, okay. So like the thing is like when you're splitting votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way that always works out for you is when you have the plurality, the majority plurality on both people that you can vote out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in this idea of splitting votes where you put 4 on one person, 3 on someone, and there's still like 3 other votes out there, unless you are super confident in your 6 people, well, it's 6 people with 7 votes.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have to win. If there's an auto played correctly, you have to win the tiebreaker anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just sitting here kind of thinking like this plan is very like, because of where Tika sits and you know that they're talking with both sides. Like, I mean, if you don't realize that, you have to be dumb. Like, the idea of splitting votes really, it made sense during the Brandon round, but for me, I think that during this round, it really just is like, some of you are just dead in the water. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
You're going to need a better Hail Mary than a split vote to get yourself out of that.
Yeah, and then going into that, we just talked about Lauren wanting to play her extra vote this round. I thought was a really bad move for her.
Yeah,
like, why are you wasting it, especially when like the numbers are dwindling on your side?
Yep. Like, like Lauren, I love you, but what are you doing?
Yeah, definitely.
That was just not the most strategic move to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been a decent move for her in the sense, I mean, I don't think that she thought this out, but if everybody already knew pretty much that she had that second vote, and getting rid of it, knowing that if Kane goes or Jamie goes, that you're that's true, and there's no power there, they know that you've wasted it.
Yeah.
In a position to be a swing the following round opposed to being the target, because there's a chance you get targeted if you're more likely to get targeted if everybody knows you have something anyway, especially something that they know that they don't have to play around, because a second vote isn't like protection really. Like, I don't save you, it's not like an idol. So I don't know, it could work out for her for at least a round or two to where she's not as big of a threat on the board compared to like the likes of a Danny or a Franny.
Yeah. All right, this next part, it's definitely very sad, but hopefully, I don't know how, I mean, it might work out, it might not, who knows, we'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing regarding the knowledge is power. I feel like just the over strategizing that everybody is like doing this round is insane, but I feel like that is the effect of like throwing out like a million different advantages like in this portion of the game. And I'm wondering if like next season, are we going to see people like try to prepare for like a control a vote when it's not even there? Like,
it's oh my God. Oh, so funny. All right. Franny's noticing how strong of a position Tika is in and that they all need to do something to make sure they don't end up up at the end. Even though Ratu has idols, they need to use that to vote with them rather than vote them out. Franny mentions this to Danny and Heidi and that they should try to cite Jam Jam out, and while Ratu can put 3 on Carolyn and then on the revote, finally get Jam Jam out. Danny doesn't think this is smart, especially when Ratu has 2 advantages with an extra vote and an idol, while Tika aren't threats at all. He seems to talk her out of it.
Yeah. So I'll chime in with this real quick. I mean, I do think that, let's say things were better for like Franny and Danny, and they weren't as like in as bad of a position that they are. And Heidi, I wouldn't say, is in a great position either. I think there is definitely a possibility that this could have worked out. I think it's good that Franny like recognizes that like Tika's a problem, but like now is not the time to turn on them. Like you need the numbers on your side at this point. So I don't think that this would have been a good move at all if Franny was to suddenly, go against Tika, especially when they're very clearly working with her. So I don't think anything's going to come of this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens for sure. Carson talks to Jam Jam and says they need to think about the best move for the three of them. And Jam Jam says he wants to vote Kane out because he voted for him before. He brings up the Jam Jam curse again, and he could work with Sokka to take him out. Jam Jam says that going through the options, Kane has the bigger power, but Carolyn disagreed, and she doesn't really see him as a big threat, and she's trying to see what's better for her, and she feels better doing Danny. Even though Danny just says he doesn't want to go for any of them.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Well, the thing is I genuinely think this is showing that players like Franny and Carolyn are playing more based on what they're seeing individually amongst players, while Jam is obviously playing extremely personal.
Yeah.
That makes me think players like Franny or Carolyn will outdo Jam Jam at some point, because I mean, when you start playing personally, you start playing poorly. Like that's always been my mantra. In any game, I think the moment you make it personal is the moment that you pretty much lose the game, because people can respect being voted out because it was strategically the best move for you. Not a lot of people respect, I was mad at you because you voted for me before, and I wanted to make sure that everybody who voted for me went home. That comes extremely, it doesn't come across very well for a jury. So that makes me very sus on Jam Jam's ability to win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. Oops. Oh, I don't know. What? I didn't mean to do that.
Live VR comments. Show up on StreamYard. This is a
great comment to respond to.
To show it on screen. That's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't see why he's such a big threat, and she wants Danny out and has been wanting to since his throwdown with Brandon, and she's sick of him.
I love that literally the only reason she wants him out is just because of like him just being like this big like alpha male. She's like, no, I don't need him here anymore. He's annoying.
But the irony is that he literally blindsided Brandon.
Yeah.
She talks to Carson, and they have the numbers to go for Danny, and Kate is super low priority right now.
Yeah.
Carson is hoping he can make sure the three of them stick together to vote as a group so they can control the vote. The Three Stooges are running this game, and while there's a lot of different names on the table, they just have to decide who they'd want to go home.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like as long as, because I mean, Carson's like very clearly the glue holding them together. Like you can see that there's tension between Carolyn and Jam Jam.
Carolyn and Jam Jam have been like together since like right from the get-go, but like they definitely have tension.
Yeah, they clash quite a bit. She wasn't on the same page with Carson here, so I feel like if Carson goes, I feel like then that significantly lessens the chances of like there being a Tika, there being two Tikas at the end. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if that happens, because it very much seems like Carson is like the person trying to keep them together and has succeeded up to this point. So
yeah. Also, you know what would be interesting though.
What?
Because you know how like Carolyn's like really targeting Danny. It would be very interesting if they teamed up.
No.
I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would, but it'd be interesting.
This is like one thing that I've noticed. I feel like at the beginning of this season, like what they were trying to show us was like, is Carolyn going to be this super player, or is she going to play super personally? And vice versa for also Jam Jam. And we are seeing the opposite of what I think preconceived notion to be, where the one who came across kooky crazy is now really looking at individualized threats that kind of separate them from being in the end, while the other is like kind of taking personal vendettas into the game and saying, I would rather vote out people simply because they voted with their team, opposed to like who's actually going to be a problem down the road. Because like you all, I mean, if they would have shown more, I can only assume that the reason they voted out Kane is because maybe he was getting the big move itis, because that I could see a player like him. But yeah, this whole vote was weird. Like,
yeah, it should have been Danny. It really should have been Danny here.
It should have.
Like, it seemed like, and honestly, like, at least to me, it seems like because it wasn't Danny, I feel like they're setting up Carolyn again to like make that move against a Danny. Maybe she finds out that Franny was coming after her and she gets rid of Franny. Like, I feel like something like that is going to happen, and it's only going to be like in a matter of episodes. It's just, you know, when it happens.
There's only 5 episodes left.
Yeah.
8, 6, 5, and then the finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
because we're final 8 now, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole season's been so like I said, it's picked up a lot since the merge, but this whole season's got like a very chaotic vibe to it. Like
it does, yeah.
Like anything could happen.
Which in the realm of chaoticness, let's get to this tribal, because this was a fun one. I thought there were some really interesting moments here. We see right off the bat, Jeff asked Heidi about the rice negotiation, and she feels that she still feels good about it. She says that, in all honesty, it was a last-second decision from her. She's a competitor and wants to compete, but she doesn't regret it and hopes she doesn't go home tonight. Kane brings up this idea that he doesn't believe that he's safe. Everyone gives different levels of trust and that their word, but there's all kinds of bonds that get broken in the game, and it's nice low on the totem pole. I love the retort that Danny has here where he's like, well, Jeff, I'm not a scout. So he didn't actually, I thought that was great. So he knows this wasn't for the tribe and for themselves, and that everyone did it selfishly. Kane says that it was a risk assessment, knowing that he wouldn't do well and wanted to pay that forward. Jamie says that there are opposite sides of the spectrum, opinions on what it means to sit out of the challenge for the greater good of the tribe, and tells everyone a lot about the individual and how they're playing game, which Danny agrees with. And Carolyn says the tribe, they weren't even thinking about it because the rice changed the game and their energy levels. And Lauren then talks about, you know, clear tribal lines, but she's still thinking about her own game and who lied to her, pointing right towards Heidi and Danny because they blatantly lied to her last round and who hasn't. And Carolyn then goes ahead and like discusses the vote a bit, but she notices whispering going on. And I was like, oh my God, I was not anticipating the whispering during this.
All this whispering was so chaotic and insane. Like, it was so intense and it was just so messy that all these people are just like, oh, let's just whisper to each other.
Yeah, so some of the things we see
change
here,
the vote.
Yeah, some of the things we see here, we see that she's told by Franny and Kane that Danny is the vote. So I thought we were really like gearing up for like a Danny blindside here. Jamie gets up. They all partake in whispering, where we also see Franny tell Jamie that they're voting for her. So Franny's really trying to plant that seed that like, hey, Tika's not with you. You need to turn on them. And basically this causes her to talk to Kane, who thinks that Carolyn saw in the vote. There's just a lot of people talking to each other here. So I was expecting...
Literally, I will say these people are so messy.
They are, but I was expecting a very chaotic vote because of that. I will say, though, I think Jam Jam had probably the funniest moment all tribal, where Jeff turns him and asks him what he thinks of the live tribal, and he said, like, he wants some subtitles to see what's going on. I thought that was great.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, so I thought going into this vote, this was going to be like a lot crazier than it was. Turns out it not exactly the case. Lauren does end up playing her extra vote here. And while there's a lot of possibilities that were thrown out, ultimately the vote does go down. It ends up being a vote of 5-2 to 1 to 1, 5-3 to 1 to 1.
Oh, yeah.
Where let's talk about this. Kane is the next person voted out. Heidi is nearly voted out here because of the extra votes. Yeah, this was interesting. I did not expect for Heidi to get votes here. I thought it was going to be like between Kane and Danny, but it changed to Heidi. I'm wondering why this is that Heidi got the votes and not Danny.
I mean, definitely, technically. I mean, Heidi was like pretty much the reason too for her and Danny to flip last round as well.
Oh, I would argue she was the ringleader of that.
Yeah. And like I mean, I will say I really do like that duo, but I definitely think both of them are not going that far.
Oh no, I feel like they are not in a good position after this at all. And like with Franny wanting to like jump ship from Tika, not good for that side. Not good for that side at all.
Not at all.
So I kind of feel like after this, like Lauren and Jamie are probably in an okay position now.
I think so too. Everyone's gonna be coming for each other.
Yeah.
I feel like this tribal, whenever you mentioned the whole like Danny making the comment that he's not a scout.
Yeah.
I feel like it was good TV. That was probably a really bad move because
it was.
And 7 people who are going to be there next round, that my word is not necessarily good.
No, yeah, Danny was not good this tribal.
I feel like Danny is my pick for the next boot.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
If he doesn't win immunity, he may be dead in the water. And I think
so too.
This whole like live tribal really boiled down to the fact that I think that certain people, Franny being the main one, are starting to doubt Tika's involvement with them long term. And that tells me that either we might get a Danny boot soon, but afterward there could be like at Final 7 we need to get rid of, I'm going to guess either Carson or Jam Jam. And maybe like Carolyn uses her idol then to save whoever's getting the boot. And then they boot like a Heidi or a that could be Jamie's boot episode or something. I feel ultimately we are setting up for someone, or it could be Franny who gets idled out. I do feel like we're setting for like this next episode to be like a big physical threat has to go home, and then like a big move in Final 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think we're either getting a Danny boot next round, or it's going to be like one of Lauren or Jamie. But I honestly think that whoever doesn't go of Lauren and Jamie, I feel like they're pretty much set for the end, because I feel like what's going to happen now is we're really seeing this war now brewing between Tika and Soka. And at least to me, I feel like Tika is going to come out victorious here, just based on what we've gotten in the edits. I feel like Franny wanting to go after Tika, it's going to be her downfall.
Oh, yeah, that could be a backfire, but we'll see.
Right. I mean, ultimately, I think we're set. In my opinion, I kind of am feeling that the final 3 may be Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Jamie. I think that
I can see that.
And Jamie's and then I think Carolyn probably edges out Jam Jam for the win.
Probably.
I mean, Jamie's the 0 vote finalist.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Jamie's definitely given like that 0 vote finalist type vibes, especially with the way that she's been edited. And again, just like her just so blissfully unaware of like what's going on around her. I definitely do get that vibe from her. We do get this retrospective from Kane where he says that the only thing worse than going home with an idol in your sock is going home with your closest ally's idol in your sock, even though it's not real. He had an absolute blast out there. Every second was a ride. Every challenge was amazing, but he got duped, and he says it is what it is. Everybody else is playing out there too, and he got outplayed. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really don't think there's much more to say about Kane. I just feel like in terms of this season, he wasn't the most relevant. There were many moments where I was like, oh yeah, Kane's still here. I thought he was going to be like one of the first early boots. He proved to go farther than I expected, but I feel like out of the 3 in his tribe, he was, at least from what we've seen, unless maybe he did have that big move of itis that you described, Devin. Unless he did, he seemed like he was the least threatening of the 3. So
yeah, he was just like he was definitely threatening to an extent, but not like super threatening.
I also wonder, like, what happened to, like, Kane and Carson's, like, bond? Because it seemed
unless, I mean, Carson's also very snaky, but he probably just thought he probably just wanted to go with the majority, thought that was the smartest move. But
Yeah.
I know, I wish I could have seen more of like that duo.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of
I even kind of thought he would like flip on Tika for him.
there's a lot of question marks I have with Kane.
See,
Yeah.
Kane, I've never, like, I'm with you all. I never understood like what they were doing with him, which it makes sense. Whenever he ends up being like this random like majority vote, like. But anyway, like Carson is, with him getting sick, that whole like 2-episode arc we've had so far of him not feeling, it really kind of put a damper on what I was expecting from him coming into the merge, because I genuinely thought he was going to be a like strategic mastermind of this merge, and he's kind of like just kind of fizzled out in a way, in my opinion.
He has.
Other than keeping Tika together, he's not been like the driving force, in my opinion, for most of these votes. He's played smart, but like I'm kind of wondering if, I hope that we don't get a medevac. That's my fear.
I hope not.
No, I don't think so.
Because like he definitely is very strong.
We've
he's
so
like,
many this season. Please no.
Right.
He's like pushing through.
Do you all see what I'm saying? Like we get an episode really sick. He's puking all the time. This episode, he's feeling better, but he's so fatigued and like, waiting.
I mean, he probably was just like really hungry, dehydrated.
Right, but I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, are we going to get like an episode where they have to do some really physical challenge and he passes out from like...
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe.
Like, there's so much that's making me think, like, I hope it's not like medevacs.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
I hope not.
Who is getting medevaced? It's Carson, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely is kind of like similar to like, if that happens, it's similar to what we got with Matthew, where it was like, seemed like he was going to be okay. And then the pain really started to like get in the way. And then he just couldn't do it anymore. But I'm hoping that that's not the case with Carson, because, you know, I want to see Carson ride this game out. I really love how strategic he's been. I feel like, again, he is the glue keeping Tika together. But I'm also feeling like maybe Carson's going to be like, I don't know. He's giving me like fire making vibes at this point. Like I could see him going and like fire making. I think that's probably.
I can see that too, but I can see that too, but I've also seen him since like the beginning. I've definitely seen him make the end.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
We'll see what happens. But either way, I think we're in for a really interesting last couple episodes. As long as we don't have some stupid fucking twist that like gets in the way of it, I feel like this is going to be a really good last half of the season for sure, especially with what we have brewing between Tika and Sokka. I'm very interested in seeing how that does play out. Devin, before we close things out here, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Do you all think we're going to get another do or die?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Please, no.
I hope not, too, but, like, my hopes are never high because Survivor likes to keep the twist that I don't like and get rid of them.
I'm hoping that stupid fucking thing that they did, like, 2 episodes ago where they had them on, like, separate tribes and they couldn't talk to each other, and, like, you know, half the group couldn't even vote. Like, I'm hoping that was the do or die of this season and we're not going to see anything else.
I hope so.
Crazy, because they keep trying to make things happen and thankfully they keep failing, so I hope that trajectory continues.
I'm hoping, I guess, like, on a closing note, I hope that this season ends with a Carolyn win.
Oh yeah. Me too.
I hope that
I hope so.
It would be the most satisfying.
They keep the interesting boots going, like, at least it's not like a constant like my favorites are going home. So that's good. So at this point,
God, that was last season for me. That was a rough one.
I know.
If every episode can just continue to be strong and solid, I think that, you know, this season will be a little bit like more enjoyable than last season.
Oh yeah,
and that's what we gotta hope for, including like what we want to see, opposed to garbage. No more do or dies.
Oh God.
No more split.
No, we don't.
We haven't had a double boot. I mean, that's also something that's got me worried going into Are they going to split them into 2 teams of 4? And
I feel like if it was going to be this episode, we would have seen some about that in the preview. So I don't think it's this episode.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Unless they maybe like 7 to like 5, maybe they'll do a double.
I also feel like what would have been like the double boot probably changed like once like Bruce left, once like Matthew was like medevac. Like I feel like because of those things, like they're not going to do like a double.
Yeah, I was also thinking that maybe like a 7 to 5 double tribal or something.
Then again, I also said BB Can wasn't going to do a double, and they just did. So who knows?
Right?
We had like an abundance of.
Do you all know where I can watch BB Can? Because I've watched
Video Brother.
Video Brother. I will say it's a very good season. It's definitely sad. It would be better with live feeds, but it's definitely really, really top tier.
So is season 10 on there too?
Yeah, well, 10's on Paramount Plus. No, is 10 on Paramount Plus? I think it is.
I think.
10 is definitely on Video Brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, it's been great getting to catch up with you all. And
yes.
Anytime on, just hit me up.
Of course.
Oh, also let him do his outro and everything.
Oh, yes.
I will see you all whenever. So,
yes. Yes.
Well,
but with that,
we always love and enjoy having you here. And if you ever want to be on another episode, just hit us up.
Of course. But yeah, with that, guys, that is going to be it for our for this episode of A Conversation with Kely. As always, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought of this week's episode of Survivor 44. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think about the season so far? Do you think we're getting that Carolyn win that we're all hoping for? I really hope so. Please make it happen. Again, you can continue to follow our coverage of BB Can 11. This is a wild week, in good ways and bad. It's interesting. That's all I'll say.
We will be talking about, since this is just the final 5. Excuse me. We're just gonna do all 3 episodes together, of course.
Yeah, this is a very different kind of final 5 than I think we've seen in a long time. But with that said, that's it for this video. And we will thank you guys. Of course, what am I going to say? That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, couples who podcast together, stay together. See you guys.